All the fancy
they
talk.
Yeah.
Is that what
They
talking
don't get no further than that. You heard that right there, right? You good? We can walk. We can stand up. You stand up on your foot? Oh, okay. No, come back. Come back. Three and three quarters.
Can we get that person to move?
I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it.
Okay, thank you. So often we talk about getting healthy, or we hear
Auntie Marilyn, you're muted.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Auntie Marilyn, unmute yourself and then go. Sorry.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Again, welcome to the Get Healthy presentation. So often we hear about getting healthy or healthy lifestyle. This evening, I am going to speak a little bit about a lot of things that we already know. I want you to take that picture that you see on your screen now, and you just look and see how colorful and enticing and appetizing actually that it looks. Okay. Now, when we talk about getting healthy, we believe that it requires three facets: is the physical activity, balanced diet, and mental and emotional well-being. And you know that I've given you some demonstration of physical activity means you have to move your body. A balanced diet, I've shown you a little diagram divided into carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, proteins, and so forth. And then obviously we look and see the mental and emotional well-being. We're looking at the brain. Get healthy. Now, we define health according to the World Health Organization as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely being free from disease or infirmity. The World Health Organization, however, stresses physical activity as a crucial element to health and getting healthy. However, some research takes a very crucial look at mental outlook, social and emotional well-being, and believe that that is almost very important for getting healthy, for they believe that it starts within the brain. Physical activities. And here we can see, I'm sure that we all can do more or any of these activities. So these involve muscle strengthening activities that strengthen and challenge your major muscle group. If you look, you see the lady is laying on her stomach, then her arms are pushed up. So when you talk about the major muscle group, I'm thinking about doing things like push-ups, lunges, and sit-ups, or something we call it crunches. Now, crunches is exactly what the lady in the build is doing. She's not coming into a full sit-up, but she's doing something very simple. So it doesn't mean that size or fitness is restrictive. You just have to be able to do some movement of the body. Any type of movement is considered physical activity. I am not talking about walking around the yard or things like that, but I am talking about more dedicated and instructive physical activity. You can also be doing things such as walking, riding, jogging. You might even take a little walk around the neighborhood. And for so many of us, you know the thing about skipping, we used to skip so much as children, but as we get older, we seem to have some difficulty with it. Boxers in particular, they use a lot of skipping to get in shape. So perhaps we can challenge ourselves and our grandchildren and children into a little skipping competition. Football is more for the more younger at heart, that they can take more to running across the field, etc., and probably a little bit cricket. But simple stuff as the diagram demonstrate within help with our physical activity. And again, the regularity of our physical activity, 1 to 2 times weekly, and that is more for the strengthening and that activity that we talk about, the larger muscle groups. So things like push-ups and stuff like that, you do on crunches once or twice a week would be ideal. But if you just want to be walking around, jogging and riding, you can almost do that every day of the week, and that's acceptable. Keeps you moving and keeps you going. If you have any questions, I will entertain them at the end. I should have said that up front, so that we can keep the presentation flowing. So any pointers, put a little note down on a little bit of paper, and we can talk about that a little later. Okay? Moving on to a balanced diet. And when I put balanced diet, there also meant a balanced nutrition. Because when we talk about, when I put the word diet in there, I know how often people, when they hear the word diet, they think that it's some fancy arrangements that you have to put yourself on these restrictive food intake. And so you get a little bit nervous. So a balanced diet in our terms is the same thing as a balanced nutrition, meaning that you will have to choose foods from each food group in particular to make your nutrition and your diet to be balanced. That is the diet in there. That's what that's referring to. But there are two common cliches that reference when we speak about diet, and they talk about what we consume. So there is a saying, you are what you eat, and input determines output. So if I eat a lot of junk, I'm going to say no more. And if I put in the wrong ingredients to baking a cake, you know exactly what that will come out to be. It might be no cake, it might be something else. So if we are going to make a difference in our health status, we are encouraged to eat more foods from the 5 food groups. And the 5 food groups, if I ask Antonia, you are on? Could you tell me what?
Yes,
Well, I guess I haven't given it to you, but I'm sure that if I ask you the 5 food groups that you were taught in school, you'll be able to give me them. So even already there, just give me the 5 food groups that you're taught at school.
carbohydrates, vegetables, proteins, fat, and grain.
Good, wonderful. And of course, I had to put the drink water to ensure that there's a little bit of fluid going on.
Water is the 6th invisible food group.
Very good. And here we look and see that there is now a picture of carbohydrates, and as well as sugars. And in your carbohydrates, you can find sugars, starches, fibers, your fruits, grains, vegetables, and milk products. They are often assigned to trendy diet carbohydrates, one of the basic food groups. And these are important to healthy diet and healthy living. You notice that we have English potato and we have sweet potato, but there's another school of thought that will tell you that the sweet potato, the index ratio in there is a lot lower and better for you than the English potato. If you have any persons among us who suffer from diabetes, you will know that the dietitian normally says stay away from the English potato because it takes so long in your system. But they more or less allow you to choose that sweet potato. And again, that's because it's of its fiber content. And then we talk about grains. And grains are important and they have many nutritional value, fiber, the B vitamins, the minerals. And people who eat grain as part of their diet have a reduced risk of some chronic diseases. And you see, we have all the fancy names there, the thiamine, the riboflavin, and the niacin, and then the iron and the magnesium. But you know, they're also, the picture again here shows us grain. You get the sunflower seeds, you get bread, you get biscuit, but again, that be multigrain or wheat and so forth. And here is my lovely, pretty basket of vegetables. A diet rich in vegetables and fruit can lower your blood pressure, and it can reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke. It also prevents some types of cancer and lower the risk of eye and digestive problems. And it have a very positive effect upon the blood sugar, which can help keep the appetite in check. If you should make your plate, your meal for the day very high in vegetables and lower in carbohydrates, you will find that you actually start to shed extra pounds just like that. It's so easy, even with minimal exercise. Want to make sure, and again, because vegetables make a lot of water, so that in a sense lower the calorie intake, and as a result will also reduce your weight, in as much as it also curb the appetite for the things that we talk about. We have a sweet tooth, or that we like to crave sweets and that other stuff. When you take in your vegetables, but and a lot of the time raw, you find that the fiber content keeps you a lot full, feeling full. And proteins, and this proteins will help in your body to repair your tissues. It allows the metabolic to react, to take place, coordinate body functions, and it also provides your body with a structured framework. Now, proteins kind of keep your body in a correct pH, which is the balance check. And again, if you eat a lot of protein and a lot of vegetables with reduced carbohydrates and a lot of fruit, you also will be doing a fantastic job when it talks about healthy living and healthy eating. All right, and again, our diagram will show you some salmon, some beef or steak. It shows you some chicken breasts, of course. I know a lot of us like chicken in the other parts, but it's recommended that the chicken breast is better for us. It might be a little bit more expensive, but I might want to go to Professor Fraser in another scene when he speaks about the basket of food was very nutritious and beneficial for us, and it doesn't carry away a lot of our supermarket money, but it also give us, I think it's about $100 a week is spending. All right, and then we talk about fats, and you cannot, I know a lot of us also like to go to the supermarket and buy everything that is labeled lower fat or reduced fat or whatever. I think what is important to take away here is that the fats that we eat needs to be the fats that are rich in producing the source of energy that we need. And they talk about the trans fat and the non-trans fat, which is a little bit too technical for you. So therefore, we will let you get your fats from the food that you see next door. So you can get your fats from meat. So you got your fish, your chicken, your cheese, and the lovely avocado, which we all love so much. You can get your healthy fats from these foods and not from the margarine and all the other the fatty stuff that we like, the oil, the lardons. But because and again, label reading is very important and critical in healthy eating and healthy lifestyle. And here is a diagram of a balanced diet to round off the point on balanced nutrition. I know you might tell me you don't see any candy here, but those nuts and those fruits, you got some strawberries and apples, and this is very Americanized when you see it here. Okay, so we can have our tambourines and we can have our golden apples. So I'm going to give you the alternatives that we can have in this whole little square this circle that we have here on this plate. So of course, if you have the oats, we have some peas. So there's lentil peas, there is the field peas, any kind of peas that you could find. There's the beans, you can also get them. And like I said, the fruit don't have to be imported fruit, but rather they can be fruits locally sourced. So you have the, of course, when it's salsa and there's papaya and there's golden apples, there's tamarind, there's donks, there's the cashew, all those fruits, mangoes, all those fruits that we know of locally that we can also be eating. Nuts. Somehow a lot of us like to eat a lot of peanuts, but it's recommended that we really go towards the almond nuts because of the, again, the fat content and the fiber. But nuts are nuts. For me, nuts are nuts, but I'm advised I should go to cashew and those other type of nuts. But I would say that as we are, nuts are nuts for us. A little lower down, you will see that we have the red peppers, the tomatoes. I think that's the eggplant. And some beans or butter base, I would like to say. And again, I want us to think about what we can find around us to eat and not necessarily what I'm going to pull from some magazine because of color. Okay, so I don't want to get confused that these are things you have to put there. Look, you just need to find foods that fit in the categories and that are locally sourced and we can use them. So bananas, figs, and all this kind of stuff are coming as well. So we have looked at physical activity, and then we look at a balanced diet. And now we're going to talk about mental well-being. Mental and emotional health is essential to overall health. So if you eat all you can and you run around all you can, but then you are unable to deal with your stressors, which is mental and emotional, then that you are not going to be healthy because it is going to impact on your ability to rest and to sleep and to be at peace and to be comfortable. And in talking and focusing on healthy eating or becoming healthy, it is all about keeping the body in balance. And that's what we want to aim for in getting healthy. So therefore, managing emotions and maintaining emotional balance is an important skill. And managing emotions, if you need to cry, you cry. If you need to scream, you scream. And if you need to do whatever it is that make you cope and handle whatever stressors you encounter, then that's what it is encouraged. Now, I might ask, how do you manage mental and emotional health? Because I just said you could scream, you could do this, and you could do it that. Walking in sunlight. It is believed by science that serotonin, a chemical produced by sunlight, it regulates the mood in the brain. So if you get some exposure to some sunshine, it might be that you're a little bit in a better mood than not. You're better in a better place than in a very miserable place. Then another encouragement is to take care of yourself by investing in self-care, and this will contribute to mental and emotional well-being. So for example, today I went home and I pampered myself. So I didn't get a massage, but I had my hair done. So I took away all the gray hair and I all have all the black hair. I got a pedicure and I had my hands done. So I did some self-pampering, that's self-care. Because so often something we take care of everybody and everything around us, and we have absolutely no time for ourselves. And you know how that can be draining. It can be draining even if you have to look after young children, look after more the elderly, or which is I will say. So they are still children now because they're on the other part of the equilibrium of the equation. So you're once a man, twice a child. You know how talking to the children are. You have to talk too often. You have to talk very often. You have to repeat yourself. And you know when you're dealing with the elderly, that same is also applicable. So you have to take care of yourself by investing in self-care. And this also will help you to in your balance of your mental and emotional well-being. So you set aside a time to read your book, read your Bible, watch the TV, and pamper yourself. I call it some me time or yourself or your time for yourself. And that's very important in your mental well-being. Again, in the mental well-being, I spend time with people whose company you enjoy is recommended. So if I do not enjoy Sister Gloria's company, then I'm not going to be in Sister Gloria's space, or she's not going to be in my space because it means that she makes me get agitated. So that we don't more or less we don't have the same vibe. So we don't. So that is something so you would not want to do. You can pursue a hobby or a new activity that you enjoy. So gardening could be something you could want to do. So I say horseback riding. You can think that if that is going to be enjoyable outside, if you're going to do something that you want to do in the fresh air, you can pick up any hobby that you can do, and that also allow you. You know, you can talk to your plants. And you talk to your plants is not going to answer back, but you might recognize that your plants start to thrive very good, and that the time that you spend in your garden with your plants, you find it very rewarding and enjoyable. So that is good again, good time. And managing stress is that you have to find ways to overcome and to cope. So you go to work and perhaps there's something going on in the office, or you go to school, because we're talking about people. You go to school and there's a little rift going on, with a couple of friends or whatever. You have to find a way to manage whatever you're hearing so it does not impact negatively on your self-esteem. And you don't feel as though you're being beaten down or downtrodden by the remarks that anybody is making to you. So sometimes the stress is not necessarily, the stress is what you're experiencing, whether it's something negative that they said about you, or if it's work that you're not coping or managing with, that is a stressor. And then you have to find a way and means by which to deal with it. If it means that you have to say the teacher separately, or when everybody else going offline, that you just stay back and you have a session with the teacher, then that is a method that you could use to overcome whatever difficulty you might be going through. So that is one way to manage stress. And the other ways are, like I said, you can look for alternate activities, find somebody, a confidant that you can speak to, anything like that. That helps you, somebody that you can trust, somebody you think that when you tell them what it is, will listen, because sometimes in relieving stress, you don't even need anybody to tell you anything. You just probably need somebody just to listen, because sometimes you already work the solution out and just want confirmation. Again, in mental well-being, you want to identify your strengths, your weaknesses, and set some boundaries. And when I talk about strengths and weaknesses, you have to know yourself. So it means there has to be some self-introspection. You know that you're strong in whatever it is. Let's say it's mathematics, but you're weak in your English language. You have to know how far in those areas you're going to be able to go, how much you're going to let that weakness control your success. So you have to find a way to balance it. And when I talk about boundaries in this statement, sometimes we need to, well, not something, we always need to let persons know how far we are going to allow them to take us in any situation at all. So you set your boundaries up front so people know what you are going to tolerate and what you're not going to tolerate. That helps you to build your barriers and build your security and your fences from the negativity. Practice gratitude for what you have, and this will distract from what you don't have. So again, it goes back to number one. So you're going to take your strengths and then you're going to focus on those, and you will not let what weaknesses you have distract you or cause you to get bogged down in feeling absolutely useless, because you don't want to do that. You're going to express yourself, you want to avoid suppression of emotions, and you don't want to start to bottle up and internalize emotions, because then that could become very negative if not managed well. And if you have to ask for help, you have to ask for help, but you ask for help you have to find the right person to help you so that you don't feel more depressed or suppressed after you show the help. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, ask for help. And you must be able to recognize when you need to ask for help. Because sometimes we are unable to recognize when we need to throw that rope, that life rope, so we can get some help. And we can take that to probably a fishing vessel who's going to drift. They have to know when to get on their radio and say, well, look, I need some help. I'm going to drift. And these are our takeaway. Getting healthy is a lifestyle. It is a way of living and thinking and the process. It is a process. We are not all going to look the same way. So I'm not, Tony is not going to look like me, and Tony is not going to look like Antonia. Pastor Blackman is not going to look like Sister Goring, and Sister Julie is not going to look like any of us. We all are not the same. Our genetic makeup is quite different, and we definitely, there are no clones. I think the last clone story we heard about was the goat. Right? We don't have any humans that were cloned. And we will not have the same experiences of stressors because we are individuals, and life gives us our different and unique experiences. So therefore, you might be able to relate to me and the experience that you had. And I might also be able to say, well, look, I had something similar, but it will never be the same. But because the constituents are not going to be the same. And we will not all be accepted or recognized for our contributions. And I like to talk about this a whole lot because this happened particularly in all strata of your developmental process. So you are in primary school, you're not always accepted by the group. You're in secondary school, it's still the same thing. You go to the workplace, that also will impact on you. So you will always never be accepted, and you will not always be recognized for your contributions. So you have to understand that from very early and accept it, and do not let it be a negative, but let it be a positive. And sometimes I like to say our expectations sometimes determine how unhappy we can get, and therefore you have to curb your expectations a lot of the times. And then I said, we are everyone uniquely created by God. So there is no other Marilyn Patrick. There are other people who name Marilyn, but there are no other Marilyn Patrick. There's no other Tonys, but there are other people who name Tony. So we share the name, but we don't share the genetic makeup because we're uniquely created. Now, the other takeaway point is that getting healthy is a choice. We choose physical activity versus no activity, so we can decide that we're going to walk around neighborhoods, we're going to skip, we're going to jump, we're going to do all that stuff, or we can just decide, you know what, I am going to sit on my couch, I'm going to have my junk food, and I'm going to just do what I want to. So physical activity is choice. Having a balanced diet again is a choice because you can either have a balanced diet or you can go to fast food and junk food. And you can then, that comes back to the carb complex or fruits, vegetables, proteins, grains, and all that. Or you can decide, I'm going to have some food, refined food. So I'm going to have some Chapek, Kentucky. And recently it is now crumbs. Yes, we can always have some crumbs. And then you can also choose water versus soft drinks. And that would also give you the opportunity to do a good wash of yourself, because the water is going to help you to let your cells not stick together and cluster, but they're going to allow your cells to be able to swim around your body. You're going to allow your whole internal system, because we are made more of water than anything else. So once you are hydrated, you will function better, you'll think clearer, you'll operate a whole lot better. But when you're dehydrated, your brain gets foggy, you get confused, you get very miserable, you get agitated. Sometimes all it is you need to do is just to rehydrate yourself, and you will see what a marvelous change. A lot of the stuff that you're complaining about will change. And then I talk about take tools of confidence and share your experience as a positive, and versus the withdrawal that can cause depression. That's not so you can take away. These are the things I want to take away from the getting healthy as a choice. Getting healthy has a consequence or has consequences. And you know, when you take particular, and I think I build this one on choices and consequences. So we can have a long life. You can have a reduced choices of developing non-communicable diseases, such as like the high blood pressure, the diabetes, cancer, and so forth. You reduce the chance of injury or injuries. But if you exercise physical activity, you strengthen your muscles and you strengthen your joints and you strengthen those parts that you know your bone, hip, tendon, joints, and all that. You strengthen those things so when you have to lift up probably a case of water or you have to move the chairs across the room, it means though that when you use those muscles, they are so loose, they're so free and fit that you don't even recognize that how quick you actually move those chairs that look so heavy straight across the floor because they just move like lightning. One time you're here, next thing off they gone. So walking and sitting and all that will become less um, stressful or something, you know, that because we don't do a lot of activity, sitting can increase some pain and injury. You can get some pain in the hip from sitting too much. You can get some at the knee from doing other activities. So I want to say that physical activity reduces the chance of injury. Then they say improved mental state is a consequence. So and in that way, when you have an improved mental state, you are coping with challenges and you are making decisions that make sense when you are confronted by circumstances. We have to accept our weaknesses and allow our strengths to soar. And I said we set our boundaries and you share them. Because if you set your boundaries and nobody know what your boundaries are, it is just useless. Because they will then do the things that you do not like or you do not accept. So you have to set your boundaries and you share your boundaries. And finally, what does our Bible say? So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. And that's 1 Corinthians 10:31, and that's from the NIV, New International Version. When you bring God into your healthy eating, it changes everything. Striving to honor Him in your food and drink choices will bring not only a heart change, but it will also change your choices. It will also help you to change your choices. Thank you. Any questions?
What can you say about juices that claims that no sugar, but yet they're sweet?
Juices that says no sugar, but is sweetened with, sometimes if you read the label, they sweetened with something called sucrose and one. The other thing is that fruits themselves would produce something called fructose, which is also a fruit sugar, but that's easily gotten rid out of the body. So in as much as we talk about, and I know I did not speak particularly to portions because I didn't want anybody to get into the thinking that they have to start to cut this and cut the next. But for healthy eating, it means that you would eat and drink until you are full. And when I say full, I try to shy away from this as well because full determination of full could get very funny because we grew up here, eat everything on your plate, and that's full, but that's not necessarily true. You eat until you're satisfied, and then you close off, so that your plate is never pulled up. But your question with sugar has to do with the fruit juice. Says there in itself, they are sweetened by sucrose. If you read the boxes, that's why labeling is very important. And if you make your own apple juice at home and did not add any sugar, it is something you have to acquire a taste for because it would taste bland. And because you've already been introduced to sugar, you will not want it. So in order for us to make the eating healthy changes, it is like we say give the baby breast milk and keep away from the formula. If the baby has the taste for natural stuff, then they don't go into the unnatural. So we don't add, we shouldn't add sugar to example, the milk that we make the formula. I know a lot of us might probably taste the formula and thought, oh, this is awful. But when you start to introduce sugar into the diet, it is addictive and your palate will call for it all the time. So you then have to re-educate the brain not to be calling and craving sugar. But it's easily said, but you have to manage it. And it will be a change, a lifestyle change that you have to take on.
You're saying it's okay to drink those kind of juices like Robinson and that sort of stuff that claims they don't have sugar.
Right, they claim they don't have, but if you look at the bottle saying, you will see that they have sugar in them. But you have to be able to determine what they have recognized as sugar. And there are different qualities and different types of sugars that they add. But you wouldn't see it as SUGR, but you'll probably see, if you use the sweeteners, you don't use sugar, but you throw one of those, what those little sweeteners we use? Those sweeteners, you know those small sweeteners that we would,
The sweeteners.
Right, we add sweeteners, but that is still a sweetener. It's made from a different chemical, but it's still a sweetener. So if you're going to go away from sugar, you should just wean yourself away completely from sugar. So you don't even use the sweeteners. You don't use, and if you use honey, unless it is natural honey coming from a bee that you can control, that you know exactly where it's coming from. The honey in the stores, you know, if you put enough for a long while, you know sugar actually forms at the bottom.
Yes.
Anybody
so that means they're not pure? They're not pure?
Not pure, right, they're not pure. So again, if you can get your honey coming straight from the person who's producing the honey, then that is a better honey for you to get, which is they probably call it organic. But you anytime you go and you buy bumblebee and all that honey from that, if you lay that down for a little while, that get very crystallized in your fridge.
Auntie Marlin, I bought one that was supposed to be organic, and I had it there for a little while. And when I took out the bottle there, this thing was so hard in the bottle. It's the way it did mad me.
Exactly. So the other thing is reading your labels and understanding what sugar, because sugar will be written in a number of anything with sucrose, so sucrose, fructose, all those words are sugars. But those organic stuff, they make you believe as though they don't have anything, but they do having, because they had that same experience. They bought this organic honey, and they had the same experience.
Honey butter, it got pure honey.
Exactly.
And it still get hard. So I don't pure organic honey. So I don't know what to do no more. I like it, go find a beekeeper to actually get the
right. The honey. Guy there in Wesleyan.
Right, that guy give you that honey. He is a better person to get your honey from if you want to. But I will say that I have stopped taking sugar for a while. I don't miss sugar, you know. So it's something that you can learn, and that's something that your palate will go away from after a while. So you don't really have to add sugar, or you know what I can do sometimes? I can just take my teaspoon and just stir it. And then psychologically, because it's a mental situation, the things that we crave come from our brain. It sends a message, we want it, and that's it. So you can re-educate yourself to do things differently, but it is not going to happen suddenly. So you do it piece by piece. So if today you had if you're accustomed taking 2 teaspoons of sugar, you can probably go down to 1.5, then you go to 1, go to half, or you wean your way away from it. Because anything that you're accustomed to, you will never get rid of it at the same time. And that's better than trying to continue hoping that there will be a change, but you have to make that change.
Thinking about the food groups,
you speak about the grains and you included the peas and the beans and so on. But this is something that is not new to me. I've done it at the polyclinic already. A lot of those peas and those grains give you gas. So
I would agree. I would agree. Yes, I would agree.
I stay away from them.
Right. I would agree that some of the grains will give you gas, and because corn and some of them you don't digest well, so you have to work the ones that work for you, and not take on the ones that all of them would. I think that in particular the black beans and some of the lentils in some cases.
Yes.
But you have to see which ones will work for you.
And the split peas.
And it's right. Some people actually split people give some people heartburn. So again, it's working which peas will work for you. Work those ones, and then you like leave out the others. You don't have to take. It's a wide group of grains, so you select the ones that you can best use. You don't have to use all of them. But it is important that you recognize that as a category. So you don't even sometimes if you use grain and you do a good grain stew, you don't have to have a meat, because the vegetarians don't use meat at all. Some of them don't use meat at all. They use the grain to give them their protein, but the quantity of grain that they have to use to get the equivalent is a whole lot.
So, a whole lot, yes.
So that is why you will have to find the best way to balance it, but it's important to get it balanced and to make the slight changes.
And even the vegetables. A lot of those vegetables, but I used to eat a lot of them. But no, I can't handle them anymore. So I don't buy them.
Don't buy absolutely no vegetables, sister? You do?
I buy I don't. The only thing I buy carrots.
Oh, okay.
Carrots are the squash, butternut squash.
Yes.
But the others I cannot tolerate them.
Okay.
And the doctors recommended if they don't agree with me, do not take them.
Okay. One of the other things though is that when you tell me you use carrots and you use butternut squash, if it was a take the food into another swing, you recognize that you've probably been using more of the foods that will give you the vitamin A because you use the orange type vegetable. No, you don't have any green in there. So there is the color of the vegetable has a relationship also with the nutrition as well. So you right. So okay, so you're using some okra, which is green. You use some orange. You don't use broccoli. Sometimes persons have a ear with the broccoli and the cabbage in particular, so they go away to something else. But the vegetables, really you should try to get some green, so you could get some beans or some other stuff in there that could also help. So we don't want only one color of, but you need to get a few other colors inside the group of foods.
So Sister Morning, Auntie Morning, sometimes the young people like Cara Samuel, I don't know if they can speak for themselves. You like the vegetables and all that. What happens if they don't like all these vegetables? What can they do? All right.
If you don't like, we have to be, as parents and adults, be creative with the vegetables. What I used to do is that I could grate, if I did the chow mein, I would grate the carrots, grate the beets, and grate the stuff so the food becomes very colorful. If the food is colorful, it attracts the children. The other way is to do some stuff is to juice the vegetables as well, and they can take a 6-ounce glass of probably carrot juice. It can be beet juice, or it could be drink as well. They also get them in that measure. You can, in some cases though, we're baking the vegetables. Your vegetables are added to the macaroni pie. You like the macaroni pie, add the vegetables in your macaroni pie. So I don't know how you're going to pick it out. So I'm going to grate it. I'm going to have it all in there. So you have to find creative ways to get them to get the vegetables. So it's creative cooking. Prep.
Cara, Samuel, and Adeline, y'all can speak. And I think Daniel will be there. Do y'all like, well, this balance thing? Y'all just tell us what you like to eat.
Macaroni.
And Antonia.
Macaroni. Fried chicken and macaroni. Macaroni pie.
You mean ramen?
What that? Pretty easy ramen.
Ramen?
Yeah. and salt.
Sister Marlene, though, while they put their thoughts together, I saw your plate. It seemed it didn't include any. What about the breadfruit and the rice? I didn't see your plate didn't have any breadfruit and rice and
Right.
what was this? Sweet potato,
Cassava.
Just one name, but
cassava,
And cassava.
I
I made my declaration early and said the photograph was not a local photograph and that we had to think about our seasonal foods and include them where the starches were. So breadfruit, cassava, sweet potato, English potatoes, all those things. I did not put a lot of pasta because there are some other phenomena about the pasta. But again, it's anything in moderation. So if today you're going to have a pasta day, you know that you reduce some other stuff, but those will fall into starches. It's just like the fruits, when you talk about the fruits, I said the dunks, the golden apples, the mangoes, the gooseberries, whatever we have locally. But you know that our children nowadays, we buy everything from the supermarket. So they get all the peaches and pears and all the other stuff that come from the US of A and Canada. And they don't really see fat porks, cashews, don't very much. You see them next to, I don't think they even know how to eat an ackee. When we were growing up, you know, the ackees and donks, they were our favorite stuff. The children nowadays don't go after those things. They don't like them. Some of them, they say, they claim.
The squash is considered a vegetable or starch? How's that classified?
It is a vegetable, but there are some vegetables that also consider starches. So you will get starch from carrots, you will get starch from squash, and you will get starch out of, I think they call banana. Yes, fruit, but that's also starchy. So some content.
What about the little green squash? Which we see very little of these days.
Oh, the little tiny little ones. Well, that would be considered a vegetable, and that would be more water based, like something like a watercress. What do people in America call a watercress?
Those are I love those.
Oh, but then you see when you get some green, but you see you want a fancy vegetable. Fancy, expensive vegetable. Cucumbers. Because that, so I think that comes off the family of a cucumber and the zucchini.
Zucchini, okay.
Right, you see, you eating fancy food.
She has her hand raised.
Yes, please.
Good night, Marilyn.
Yes, please. Good night.
I ain't sure if you went through already, but I know normally they show you how to divide your plate. You know, especially lunch. You say half should be veg, and then the other half should be divided into the starch and the veg. You went through that already?
Yeah, I did show them a plate with all the food items, but I did not take the plate and parse it out into half, quarter, or three quarters. Right. But I did.
And what about breakfast then? Especially if you're on the go, it's considered a good on the go breakfast.
Oats is fantastic, and a shake. You have a bullet that works wonderful. You can drop a couple of spinach leaf, a carrot, a little coconut water, and that's it. You can put some oats in that if you want to. And you put it in your bullet, and coconut water is going to be the sweetener, so you don't have to worry about anything else. Coconut water, fantastic. And if you're buying coconut water in the weekend, you take some jelly as well. That would be your sweetener to add to that shake. Shake on the go, and that will keep you till about 11 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I usually try like yogurt and like granola. That helps to keep me full during the morning time.
And you read the content of your yogurt. Which yogurt you taking? The plain yogurt?
I do the light ones. I don't like the plain one. I prefer the ones with fruit.
All right. Okay. Well, I want you to do for me, right? Is look for the content. I actually going to bring one from my fridge. The content of the sugar in that sweetened yogurt. And then you add it to what you said you add it to?
Granola.
Oh, and then you check the loaded sugar you have there. Fantastic tasting. But once you go to the sweetened yogurt with the granola, you're going to be adding and conking up the calories.
Too much sugar.
Too much sugar. Yeah, you'll get a sugar rush. You definitely will feel good because they're doing a lot of gratification going on there. Sugar is in there. So if you're going to take the plain yogurt and you're going to put it with your granola, yes. that's gonna be fine because the only sweetener you have there is the granola. But as time you start to pick on the yogurt, and you look at that, you can see that you're changing the whole composition. But don't get too worried. It's not, it's something you gotta work on.
So the yogurt, so the yogurt, the natural yogurt has too much sugar.
No, the natural yogurt will not have it. But I tell Tony is going to take the yogurt and either comes with the flavor, which is either banana, strawberry, whatever else is coming, peach,
and all those, yeah.
All those ones. When you look at that, there's a lot of
Not
sugar.
even the light one. The light one gonna still got 10 sugar too.
The light one has maybe aspartame or something.
Sugar,
Okay.
it is not as much as the one that can say creamy and smooth. But once you're adding it to the granola bar, which is going to give you that flavor, I'm talking about adding sugar on sugar. That's all I'm talking about. So if you add that yogurt and adding yolk and you put oats and the mom's oats into that with a little almond milk, you're gonna do a better job because the only thing that was sweeten there for you is the yogurt. So you're gonna spread the sugar content. But when you're gonna add that yogurt to a granola bar, you're building on the sugar content. And then if you're choosing the almond milk,
granola bar, just the plain granola, not granola bar, and not the sweetened granola either. It's just plain granola that others buy to add to the yogurt. That is how my
breakfast don't have no taste.
It don't have no taste, but it is how
it's filling.
It's fiber, so it'll be filling.
Yeah, it's filling.
All right.
So the granola is basically oats, am I not right? Baked oats?
Yes,
it's oats and it's sweetened.
Yeah, I think it's sweetened, yeah.
Not all of them.
Not all, you can get some plain.
Well, I'm ready to see those plain ones, sister.
Yeah, I buy them.
You buy some plain ones? Okay. I'm gonna check for that tomorrow in that Massey.
Can I think it's just oats, but it's just, yeah, can I know if, but yeah, because it has some kind of thing to bake them to get them to that crisp.
Right, and you normally eat one of those as an energy bar if you're out hiking or anything like that. So it has to have some sugar in it.
Oh, so our key thing is
something in there.
So our key thing is to reduce the sugar intent.
Yes, that is in truth, in fact, is the healthy way is to try to reduce the sugar content. Reduce if you are not moving a lot, reduce your calorie intake. So if I am sitting at my desk the majority of my day, I do not need a 2100 calorie diet. I probably need 12 or 14. If I'm going to be walking, say 5 miles, 2 miles, or 3 miles in the evening, it means that I'm going to take the food intake is fine because I'm going to then burn it up in the walking. But if you're not going to be able to consistently do your walking, your physical activity, then you need to manage the intake of your calories. Anything in excess is going to be stored.
So what is our calorie intake? She said how much it should be?
That is determined on the individual, which is built, height, and all that other stuff.
But I mean, like if you have a very sedimental kind of, if you don't have a lot of activity,
you should probably keep your calorie content within about 16 to 1400.
16 to 1400 calories. That ain't much at all, isn't it?
But you're doing 3 times a day faster. And that's why to get it. It's not the whole entire day. Your meal count at any given time. And if you have a lot of water inside
okay. Okay, it's not for the whole day.
Not the whole day.
You have the sunflower. Sunflower seeds can be considered a nut.
Yeah, but it's a grain. And then you got all the peas, green peas. You got black eyed peas. You got peas. Lentils,
okay, so the grains and the bean and the legumes and considered one class. Yes, I think your thing. I think I saw them separated. Okay. So that's what I was considering. So let's hear the young people when they're doing their snacks. Because I found that a lot of we have problems with people being really overweight. Very young people when you think that they should be more active. So,
right, and that's because that nowadays, and we know that's lifestyle, of course. We would have to be able to look at how we socialize our kids now. Everybody got a tablet or they got some device. So they do their games on their wrists, and in the future they'll be sedentary and they will have a lot of wrist issues, repetitive issues because of the whole TVs and the computers and all that other. So they're suffer from a different types of illnesses versus the ones that we would probably have in these times and the time before.
So maybe you can give us some directions for a whole entire day.
So for a
what
meal,
we could consume, yeah, an example of how we could
all
for
right.
a sedimental person.
For breakfast, you can have bread, and this is whole grain bread, whole wheat bread, brown bread. You can have an egg boil, or you can have scrambled egg, or you can have an omelette, and add your tomato, lettuce. So you make your sandwich look, encouraging to eat. And you have your tea and the fruit. If you're not having fruit, you have fruit juice. So it can be orange juice, unsweetened of course. Or you buy your own oranges and you produce your own juice, you have control over that. So you can buy oranges, you make orange juice. You buy apples, you make apple juice. All of that. It takes more time, so sometimes it's best to do it at night. So in the morning when we get up and we're in a hurry, we can just snatch and go. The other thing that I would advocate as well is those jars that we have, you see mason jars. You can start plain yogurt and oats and some fruit in a bottle in your fridge at night. You can do it for almost the whole week. So every day you get up in the morning, you have your breakfast in the jar and you can go. At lunchtime, you're looking to have a salad, a starch, which is whether it's whatever potato, whatever, macaroni, or protein, and a salad, and you're good to go for lunch. So you're looking at, you have rice, fish, or rice and chicken, or potato and chicken, and vegetables. You drink water, hot tea, anything like that. And in supper in the evening, I like to suggest salad and a protein. There's no harm in protein. You can have as much protein as you want to. That's not a problem. Protein actually mobilize the other foods that you have in your diet, so you have a better turnover of stuff. In between your meal, when you talk about snacking, is fruit and nuts. And that's basically how it works. And try to consume as much as water as possible. We will be told eight glasses of water for a normal person. I think the last time somebody told me I had to drink almost like a gallon. I tell you about somebody who had me drinking almost a gallon of water at some point in time. I remember last year I had that, no, 2 years ago I had that experience. Where somebody did my iris, look at my eyes, and then it suggested I have a gallon of water a day. So I had to take at least 7 of those 500 mils bottles. Yeah, I wanted about 7, 8 of them. So you need to, if your habit of water is good when you feel hungry, water. If you feel hungry, but you really shouldn't feel hungry if you have your meal small and regular, and that's fine. If you know that you're going to have an ice cream, because I would tell you, you have to get some things that satisfying sometimes, satiated sometimes. So you can take some ice cream, you can drop out some other item in the mix, and you can have your ice cream for a dessert, but your dessert is controlled. But you must have some dessert. Just don't have 2 scoops of ice cream, you can have 1. Just don't have a tub of ice cream, because some of us can sit over a tub of ice cream when we watch TV.
Well, fruit.
That's a lot of sugar. Enough. And some of us like to take the whole small container and sit at the TV. Popcorn is a good filler for snacking as well. And you can pop your own popcorn, or you could just do, fruit salads. And you can snack on that all the time. If you have almond nuts, it's only a handful of almond nuts. And I'm telling you that feeling very guilty because they can't get it done. There's some packs in the supermarket about $3.85 or 89 cents. It is more than 3 ounces. Well, I have a pack of those at any given time. But it is recommended only to have a handful. But with nuts, I have a problem. Okay, I would tell you to struggle or to do, I'm still working at something I'm still working on, is just have the handful of almond nuts. I'm still working on it.
I can't use a handful of nuts. I
I
have
don't
to
take
have
that.
more. I have to have more than a handful because I love nuts.
Yeah. Here you go. So there are some things that you have to
Handful. Look at handful. That's not enough.
Not enough. So yes, young ladies, nobody is talking to me. Antonia, what do you like to eat? I have to call you. What do you like to eat, Antonia? What are your special meals that mommy prepare or that you prepare?
Cereal, I guess.
Pardon?
Cereal?
Cereal, is it? You eat cereal morning, noon, and night, Antonia?
No.
Okay, so
sometimes just a snack, but
oh, just a snack. So we had for breakfast this morning. Let's talk about it. We have a breakfast. Nothing?
a donut.
Wow. Yeah. And then what you had for a snack in between. And we had a donut with coffee, sheet tea, or soft drink.
Dark chocolate, dark hot chocolate.
Dark hot chocolate. Okay. Sugar on sugar. Okay. What your next? What you had again after that?
For lunch we had chefette because we went out.
Mm-hmm. And we have it for dinner this evening.
Cereal.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna leave you. And let me know that you've heard what we spoke about today about healthy eating and healthy lifestyle. A donut and a hot chocolate. A Swiss hot chocolate and a donut is not what we consider at all healthy at all. So we probably could have changed there for probably a scrambled egg, still with the same hot chocolate, a slice of bread, and some juice or a fruit, whether it's an apple or orange. You are on the road, so lunch is acceptable. There's no quarrels there with your lunch today, but it's not the same lunch. It will be lunch tomorrow, so that's your treat for the weekend. So that means that between Saturday and Sunday, no, you can't eat junk food because you had your junk food today. So when we have to cook you tomorrow, either some sweet potato, or something like that, along with some fish. And I know you're probably just turning at your face like, no, I'm not having any fish and sweet potato. I mean, I could probably have some steamed pudding and sauce. But yes, it is just the information given is something for us to consider and to look at, and then to think how we are going to use the information to really change incrementally our lifestyles and the choices that we make. So the information is there, know that it's given in schools, but of course it's easier most of the time to do something that would take less effort than do something that would take more effort. And that's why I suggest that sometimes you can prepare them in advance, put them in the fridge. And a good thing is never to prepare a meal when you're absolutely hungry, because you're definitely going to make bad choices. So you make it early, and then you work your way into changing so that we would change our landscape. We have a lot of obese adults, we have overweight adults and overweight children, and clearly because that we are making bad choices. We are now gone away from eat everything on the plate to now eating only sugar and sugar and sugar. If you look at a Coke and you look at a box of the juice from Pine Hill Dairy, you will be alarming that the content of sugar is higher in the box of juice than it is in the Coke. So you have to start reading labels and making some choices. So if you say, oh, I don't drink soft drinks, but I'm drinking Tetra Pak, you are doing yourself just an injustice. Just some food for thought.
Okay, let's hear from Cara and Samuel and Adeline, see what they're like.
Bananas. I like bananas.
Samuel?
Yes, please.
So bananas is all that you like? You don't like chafet or donuts or
And chicken, pizza, pork, ham.
what about you, Cara?
I like chicken, macaroni pie, ice cream, smoothies, and bananas.
I understand.
Adeline, not to leave you out, what do you like?
Apples, bananas, ice cream, and water, and drink.
And drink. Water and drink.
I drink. It's okay. She's young, so she's gonna have lots of energy. So
Yeah, she really.
okay, so Marlene, we can't incorporate what we like. We can guess because very often to have a healthy lifestyle like the donut, it says sugar. I guess sugar and fats, but that means you can only have a donut once a week.
Well, you exactly. Or
Please not. Please not. Okay, people. I don't feed my child donuts for the morning. All right. Not your fat every day. Okay, let me just defend myself.
No. I'm just saying, to be quite honest, the things you like is normally sweet. So I mean, in reality, you can't. I mean, you gotta still enjoy what you eat.
Right. So that's why
I like sweet, right.
Right. Like so that's why I said no. So since all of you are not going to eat the whole sweet bread at once.
Oh, you who say not?
Like you shouldn't. I just said you need to share it.
I will not eat it at one time, but I will certainly it will last me probably whole week.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's okay because you're having a sweet, but you're having it incremental.
Yeah, but before I was sit down, eat one or eat a whole one.
You would do that, Sister Anna?
Before, a few years ago, I would have done that, but now I don't do it.
Exactly.
Because the sugar is addictive, so if you like it, by the time you start you eating it, it tastes good with a cup of tea.
Right.
Yes.
So that's let's say you have to discipline yourself. So you are no longer running around all over the place. You are now sedentary. So if you want to have, so there's nothing wrong with having still some of your treats, but you have to manage it. That's all you're required to do. So you don't just blanketly decide that all that I've shown you, all I've said to help you, like said it all to it, because then it will be very boring. But not that's why I said I don't want to talk about diets, because you need to still do what you enjoy, otherwise you will fall off. So we're not doing anything, we're talking about making sensible choices or choices that should benefit us in the long run. So a whole sweet bread, a whole pudding is not, no. And that's one reason why I stopped baking, because the thing
Me
is,
too.
when you bake and nobody consume, you decide
eat all yourself.
I can't space. You eat all yourself.
Exactly.
And then put on the way. It's the same thing happen with cooking some meals. You can't cuckoo, you cook the cuckoo, and nobody want to play to eat the cuckoo. I'm telling you, I can confess to you, I have an aunt that eat a whole breadfruit. Even though I don't have to eat breadfruit. She cook it on a side and nobody play. They want it, my girl eat the whole thing. So I know how that works, how that goes. So I would say that even although we talk about healthy living, it is incremental. It is a choice. It's something that we should aim towards. But of course, yes, we have to add some of the fun. Otherwise, it would get very funny. But we have to go there. We have to have birthday parties. I have to have cake. And some people too, they still have to have their rum cake. Otherwise, it's not Christmas cake. But I'm just saying, do not eat a whole tub of ice cream. 1 liter. at any given time.
No,
You
no,
can
no,
eat
no.
it over,
That's too
you
much.
can eat it over time, right? The sweet bread, you eat it over time. And you don't have to eat sweet bread and cake all at the same time. So a slice is fine. And if you're gonna get your juice, you can ask for your juices, your juice drinks unsweetened.
No, I drink water.
Okay, right. Or you drink water, but you can't drink water all the time. So something
Yeah,
you buy the coconut.
Most of the time I drink water or tea.
Okay, because of the good using tea is another good way to take the lifetime change. Also, use that warm tea right after meals. And this is the Chinese do that a lot.
A lot, yeah.
They do a lot of hot drinks after their meals, and they get very satisfying. So there are one or two things in some cultures that they practice, and you reckon that some of them don't even got some of the issues that we have in the Caribbean. But there are all obese people all over the world. So it means that they are consuming too much of whatever they're consuming as well, whether it's fat, carbohydrates, or whatever. But there are obese people all over the world in all cultures.
Okay, so we could probably use a lot more water and still be able to have our sugars and some of the things that we like. For those that like hot chocolate, you could just make sure you have your hot chocolate and use water other times. But I do say that the Pine Hill Dory drinks are really, really, really sugary, really sweet.
Yes,
I was a little surprised that they have so much sugar content.
But remember that they're not natural juice, they come from a preservative, because that's another thing that people also fool themselves with. Oh, I'm having a juice from Pine Hill Dairy. You know you're having a juice drink. If you read the box, that's what it says. You're not having a natural juice, you're having a juice drink. So it comes from a preservative. So it's best always to just take your oranges at home and do your stuff and whatever your passion. I see a lot of passion fruit vines now, and the passion fruit is over there again. The sour stuff is back there. The papaya is over there, so we can start doing all of that. We used to do a whole lot of that when we were growing up. So, but of course, we will change our children's palates. So we are really responsible for what is going on now. Once upon a time, if when the meat cooking in the house wasn't what you let you see hungry. That's not happening nowadays. They call it daddy and get your pet box or get a Kentucky box. So the constraints and restraints are not there, but we have to pull something in ring in order to get us to the consequences that we need. Not necessarily not what you want, the ones that you need. And the Lord has promised us a long life. And He gave us no fast food, everything natural in the garden. So back to eating. And your tea has its hand. And your tea can be what? So salt leaf tea, it can be sugar apple leaf tea, it could be all kinds of leaf teas around you.
Bay leaf, moringa.
Bay leaf, moringa, even the chives in the garden.
The neem.
All of that.
Sister Marley, have a raised hand.
Dean Squares. Yes, Mrs. Squares, all ears.
Yes, please. Good night. Thanks for your session. Very informative and challenging and convicting and all those C words in one. But question for the sugary drinks, does adding water do anything beneficial? As in water kind of balance out the sugar or cancel it? I mean, at least it stays so, but from a nutritional standpoint, it does not.
It does not. We thought that when you add water to those drinks that you be diluting the sugar content, it does not. It stretches it, but not the sugar.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you drink all. Well, I guess if there are no more questions, we can wrap up.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you.
Just saying that when you have to be on a restricted diet like I am, you get used to not using the sugar and the salt and the peas and everything else. So it wasn't easy at first, but I get accustomed to it.
Right, and we don't want anybody.
I have to drink a whole lot of water, like 4 of those stainless steel bottles a day. So
a question. I thought I thought that I would have heard this, that you don't cut sugar out completely, neither do you cut salt completely out of your diet. I've heard that from nutritionists already.
All right, no, we're gonna go back to this point. Now, some foods naturally have their own sugars and their own salts. So if I'm going to, for example, I'm going to make a stew, I can use some celery and I have my sodium content. There are some foods that have a sodium, but I understand the point made because there are some persons who their sodium levels, for health reasons, their sodium levels could be too low, and there's a need for the additional salt. But you know, there's some persons who abuse the salt because they will set it with salt shaker, and they will add the salt to everything. That is overdoing the added salt. So again, it's going to be moderation. You're going to buy your fries, you have ketchup. Ketchup has its salt, and then sometimes it has its sugar. Your barbecue sauces, you're coming up again with them. So if you start to read the labels, you're going to see where when you add your condiments to your stews, gravies, and whatever, you will look and see when you add up your portion of salt, you've already added it in there without even having to take up your salt shaker and add in salt. So there's still going to be the salt intake that you're going to be able to get.
So much so the doctor even told me use a pinch of salt. He said, you don't use salt? I said, no. He said, well, just use a pinch because my salt level was too low. Sodium actually was too low.
I tend to get a lot of cramp. I tend to get cramp and my feet especially. And I try to stay away from salt.
But then you probably should get that investigated because that again too should be your sodiums, and then you will probably get the correct advice for your sodium levels. If you can explain when the cramp comes on, what you're doing and that kind of stuff, and get the correct direction to go. But that is salt is something that we always give people who having cramp. But like I say, I'm talking about the added salt.
Added, okay.
You already got half pound salt meat in the soup.
No.
Or the rice boiling with the peas and the spaghetti inside there already. And that's salt. So I don't think that we need to really.
You don't need extra salt.
Exactly. So those are the things I'm talking about. So you're managing what you're adding. So you have to look and see what you're cooking with. And then that will take care of all the flavor and the salt that you're talking. You think you need, you don't necessarily need it because you already had it embedded in the ingredients that you use so far. So if there are no more other questions and comments, thank you very much. I hope it was beneficial and enlightening, and that we will make an effort to try to make some small incremental changes as we progress to our healthy lifestyle.
Okay, thank you so much. We didn't talk about the gaming that would balance your mental health, but obviously you need to get some exercise and take yourself off the computer and the games so that you can have balance as well. But thank you so much, Marilyn, Auntie Marilyn, for presenting. And we will start seeing some people being a little slimmer in our congregation.
They're gonna have to get. I think we had before. It used to be an aerobic session that we used to have in the past. So I guess we probably have to bring that back up for some physical activity.
Maybe.
As a mental well-being.
Okay, because we needed to release it. Oh, you used to have an aerobic class or something?
Yeah, I think that Tony, who it was? It was
Wesleyan dancing.
Wesleyan dancing. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to have some kind of activity to bring a balance. All right, thank you so much for presenting. It was very informative.
Excuse me, Pastor Blackman. And then they had a group of us that used to walk on the garden on evenings too.
Oh, okay. Well, all those things are necessary, at least to have even for mental balance and mental stability. Because walking helps that as well to release that. So I want to thank all of you for joining us. We want to thank Marilyn for sharing with us and giving us some insight about those sugars and the salts that we need to consider. It's a long weekend, and if you don't have anything planned, you can just sit down in front of the television with some cocoa or some nuts or some ice cream. So now we're forewarned how we can spend our long weekend. So we want to thank you for joining us, and we can eat the things we love, but then we have to watch whatever else we have in the combination. So like we said earlier, Sister Goreen is going to celebrate a birthday at the very beginning of August, which is on Sunday. And Tony is going to have celebration on the 4th, which is, I think, the Monday. No, not the Monday. The Wednesday. The Wednesday.
Yes.
So Tony, pray for us. We're going to ask Sister Goring to pray for us to wrap us up for this evening. Thank all of you for joining us. I'm going to be on holiday from August 1st. I will be at the next Youth Connect. We're going to be having a speaker. Her name escapes me, but at this particular point in time, but she spoke to us and she's going to be talking about gearing up. The month of August is really going to be focused on Ephesians 6 verse 11 from verse 11. I want you to read it, and I'll be here next time, but then the other times I wouldn't be here because my holiday starts from Sunday. So do have a great week, and we're going to ask Goreen to pray for us, Sister Goreen to pray for us.
Good evening, everyone. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the wonderful information that Sister Marilyn has brought to us this evening pertaining to our health and our well-being, and not only pertaining into our physical bodies, the food that we shall have, but we shall also put your word as well into practice into our bodies. Lord, we thank you, Lord, for everything we have learned this evening. You continue to protect us, guard us, guide us, and may your Holy Spirit continue to fill us. We thank you, Lord, for your grace and your mercy that you have restored upon us. And it's a long weekend. Let us not indulge or overeat or do something that we know that we shouldn't do. In lines of eating, keep everything in moderation. Thank you, God, for your Heavenly Father, who is sending his Son to die for us. And as we continue this session, Lord, may you continue to give us the wisdom and understanding that we need in these sessions. Thank you, Lord, that as we go through this night, you will protect us and help us to be better persons in what we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Have a wonderful week and have a wonderful holiday. 2 holidays. Some people don't really make a difference.